Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to try to make MCP a little bit more easier and obvious how we can use it. So MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it was invented lately by Claude or Anthropic. Let's first go through some demonstration about how the picture of MCP can be understood. In this diagram, you see the LLM applications in the beginning. It was just using the LLM application, the LLM model, sorry, in your application just by giving it the question, and then it will give you the answer just like ChatGPT or Meta AI or any other LLM system. And then the next phase, it was that people want to extend the information that was ingested by the LLM by some extra information that is coming, for example, about the company itself. All the information about my company, I want the LLM to be able to answer questions about that. So what programmers do, they implemented a vector database and they ingest all the information about the corporation or any other topic. And this information could be in PDF files format or text files or Microsoft Word document, or it could be just scraping the whole website and put it in a vector database. And then when the user asks a question, before sending the question to the LLM to get the answer, we go to the vector database and get some chunks that relate to the question. And that's a little bit complicated to be explained in this video, but it's just using similarity search and vector search in the vector database to get the chunks that are very related to that question. And then we send the information that we retrieve from the vector database with the question, we send it to the LLM, and then the LLM gives us a proper answer and we give it to the user. Then it came the wave of agentic AI applications. And when we say agentic, that means we don't use the LLM just to answer questions. We use the LLM to do actions. Actions like, for example, sending email or posting some data in a database, or creating a record in the database, or opening a ticket in some CRM system or customer relations management system. So these actions, we do it like this. We use, of course, we use the regular RAG like we did before in this scenario. And then here, if it's a RAG, if the question is just an FAQ, like frequently asked question, we get some chunks from the vector database, we send them to the LLMs, the LLM give us the answer and we give it to the user. But what if, for example, the user here is a customer who's complaining from a product or a service or a subscription that he has with the company, and they want to actually open a ticket in a ticketing system for that user. This is an action. This is an example of an action. So in agentic AI, what we do is we do classification of the input from the user. If it is, for example, to open a CRM ticket in a ticketing system, we do this carefully, and then we get all the arguments that we need. For example, the email of the customer, or the phone number, or the customer ID of the customer, and then what is the message that we want to put in that ticket. And when we get all this information, and how do we get this information? We get it using the LLM. Like we parse the input of the customer, and then we get some parameters that we can use in this action. And then we do the action in the external systems, which actually opening a new ticket or posting a row in a database or something. So what MCP did, actually, MCP did not do something new. MCP, or Model Context Protocol, it did standardization for these agentic AI applications. Before MCP, agentic AI applications, it was a little bit difficult to classify exactly what the customer wants and what action exactly we have to do. Is it sending email? Is it posting a row in a database? Is it deleting some row from a database? Something like that. So the classification of this action itself, it was a little bit tedious and a little bit difficult. It was not easy. But with MCP did standardization for the agentic AI applications. So here in this diagram, you see we have MCP client, we have MCP server. The MCP server, it can do any actions to the external systems, like for example, it can access the file systems, it can access the storage systems, the calendars, the emails, the databases, the infrastructure, you name it. Anything that you can do to external system, you can do it through the MCP server. Now, when we say the MCP server, it's not actually a hardware server, it's a code. It's an application that you write. And the MCP client is also a code. And in this case, we name the application here, the application that you write, we name it the MCP host. Okay, so all of these three items, the MCP client, MCP server, and the host, they are applications. Now we will try to write an MCP server to make it look a little bit easier to understand exactly what you can achieve with MCP server. Okay, let's go here to our application. And as you can see, we have an empty application. This application actually, it has a folder here. We named it MCPS. Inside the folder, we have a data folder, which is also empty. And then we have clients.py, which is also empty. And then we have MCPHR server, which is empty. And then we have the main application, which is empty. We're going to start by writing our MCP server. We're going to start by this. And then MCP server, we can access it through the MCP client, which we will write here. And then we have the main .py, which will be actually the chat bot that we will write. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, in my application here, I have the terminal open. I am using UV as a Python management application, a Python environment management framework or tool. It's a new tool which is very strong, very powerful, and very fast as well. What I'm going to do is UV init, initialization, the current directory. And you can also specify which Python version you want. I can say, for example, 3.11, but I'm going to leave this so that I can use the latest Python version. It's going to initialize the current directory. It's going to create the toml file, as you see here. Dependencies are still empty. We did not install any package here. It's going to create a README markdown file, and it's going to create sometimes it creates, I think, .gitignore files. Okay, the next command I'm going to do is uv vimf to create the vimf folder ready to receive the packages that we need. And then I'm going to start by doing source to activate the current environment, or actually even you don't have to, but it's better to do the source.vimf bin and then activate. It's going to activate the current environment, which is MCP app. As you see it here, it's going to give you like this. In Windows, it's a little bit different than Mac. I'm going to clear. First thing I'm going to need is UV add. I'm going to need the lang chain. I'm going to need the lang graph. I'm going to need also a package, the main package actually, MCP, Model Context Protocol. I'm going to need another package which is LangChain MCP adapters. This is going to install all these packages in this folder in the .env, and it's going to put it also here in the toml. so that you know exactly which packages you have in your application. Perfect. Now we're going to start by writing the server. Actually, we're not going to start by writing the chat application or the client. We are going to start by writing the MCP HR server. Okay, so you see now the server here, which is MCP HR server.py. First, from mcp.server.fastmcp, we're going to import fastmcp, and then we're going to import JSON and OS. Then we will define a variable called MCP. It's going to be equal to fastmcp, and then we're going to give it a name, just a name. And then we have the employees file directory. It's going to be the os.path.join, the current directory of the file, plus data, and then slash employees.json. So it's obviously it's not here right now, but it's going to be created because we're going to call this function. This function is name is employees file check. So if not os.path exists employees file, what it's going to do is it's going to open it for write, and it's going to use json.dump. It will dump just an empty array in that file, and it's going to exit. So this file is just going to, this function is going to create the file in the data directory. And then we have another function here called get all employees. It's going to call this function in the beginning, and then it's going to open the file for reading. It's going to read all the employees JSON load, so it's going to be turned into JSON array, and it's going to return it. So it either returns the employees or returns an empty array. Now we have a tool here. We define a tool like this. This is mcp.tool. It's just a function, Python function, and then you define what are the arguments or parameters you want. For example, I want here the name. If the name is not there, I'm going to just provide no name. The vacations limit, if it's not, it's a string also. If it's not provided, I'm going to just give it 10. And then we have vacations used, how many days he used from his vacations limit. By default, it is 3. And then the vacations remaining, what is remaining? By default, it is 7. The doc string here is very important. You have to give a very comprehensive information about this tool, exactly what it does. So this tool is used when the user wants to add a new employee to the HR system. The user may give the params or ask the LLM to make up one or more. The tool adds the employee to the HR system. The arguments, you define the arguments. So each argument is a string. This is the name of the employee. This is the total days the employee is eligible for, and this is how many days did the employee used from his limit, and this is the remaining days. Returns a message indicating the result of the operation. So first of all, we're gonna define an object here. It's called emp. It's gonna take the name. It's gonna take these vacations limit, vacations used, and vacations remaining, and it's gonna cast them into integers so that we can save them in the JSON file. And then adding employee, this is just a message. And then employees, we get the employees from this function. We get all the employees, and then we add the one employee, and then we open the file for writing. Well, actually, we don't open it for writing. We should, oh yes, we write it. We open it for writing because we took all the employees and then we added whatever we want to add, and then we just override the current file. And if there is any problem, then we give the error. So this is a tool. That's how you define a tool in MCP server. And here you have to do this actually. If the interpreter is asking for main, then you just what you do is mcp.run. That's a server with only at least one tool. Now let us go and see how we can write a client. Okay, you can see here we have clients.py now. It has some code. From MCP we import client session and we import standard input output server parameters. And then from mcp.client.stdio or standard input output, we import a function named standard input output client. From langgraph.prebuilt, we import a function called create react agent. And then from langchain mcp adapters.tools, we import a function named load mcp server, load mcp tools. Okay, now we have a variable here. The name of the variable, we can name it anything. It's called HR server parameters or params. It's of a type standard input output server parameters. You give it the command is Python, and then the arguments, it's going to take the file that the server is in. This is in a directory mcps. There is this one, mcphr mcp underscore hr underscore server. Okay, and then we define asynchronous function. We can name it anything. I just named it here hr client. It's going to take the message and then asynchronously with stdio client, this function, it's going to take these parameters, the parameters, and then it's going to give the result as a tuple of permissions, read, write. And then we're going to use also with client session, we're going to define client session with these permissions, and we're going to name it session. And then first we await the session to initialize. Then we await load MCP tools from this session. So it's going to give us all the tools here. And then we're going to create agent using create react agent. By default, we're going to use also GPT-4o. That's why we should have .env file here. And this .env, it has a a variable called OpenAI API key. It has to be the same name, and then you put the API that you get from OpenAI. I'm going to show you where exactly. So when you come here to platform.openai.com, and then you should have a username and login, or you can log in through Google also. If you go to your profile, and then here you will find user API keys. So you should have or you can go here down on the side, API keys, and you will see the API keys that you have. You can create from here a new API key and then copy it. Then you insert it here. Okay. So in the client, we are using create react agent so that it will be able to answer the questions or to do actually the actions, the MCP actions. And we are using GPT-4o. This is why the create react agent is going to use the .env API key of OpenAI so that it can do the actions. So the response is going to be like this: await agent.ai invoke or asynchronous invoke, and then it's going to take a JSON object. The key is messages, and this is the message of the user. What it's going to return also from the response. There is an array will be named messages. We'll take the last message, which will be the AI response, and then we'll take and return the content. So this is the client. Let us see now how we can write the chatbot application. The chatbot application, as you can see here, it's going to be a very simple like this. We have asynchronous function called chat. First, it's gonna clear the console, and then it's gonna say welcome um, to, for example, Shangab MCP. Type exit to quit or whatever, and then it's gonna do a while loop, infinite while loop. It's gonna read the question or the request from the user. If the user.input.lower is exit, then it's gonna break. It's gonna finish the chat. Otherwise, it's gonna use the HR client, which we actually importing here from MCPS dot clients from here. Import HR client. This is the HR client, right? And then it's gonna use it to get the reply, and it's gonna give you the reply. So let us now exactly see what we have done before running the application. The main.py is here. This is the host. This is the application. And then in clients.py, we have the MCP client, which is HR client. And then we have the MCP server, which is actually the MCP HR server. So let us try to just run this application by debugging it. Let's stop here. Okay, you can see the application is running here. Let me just make some space here and give it the first request. Add an employee to the HR system with realistic human name. When we run this, it's going to come here, and then let us also stop here in the clients and see what will be going on. So it came here. It's gonna load the tools from our server. So if we stop here, you can see that we have one tool. You can see also that what is the description of this tool. This tool does so and so and so. And then it's gonna call create React agent. It's gonna get the agent. There is an issue. Let me see, what is the issue? Unable to import lang chain. Yes, you see here the issue is unable to import lang chain OpenAI. So we're going to stop the application, and we're going to do UV add lang chain OpenAI. This is a required library, and then we're going to run the main once more. Okay, the application ran again. We're gonna tell it also to add a new employee to the HR system. So it's gonna come here, run, and it's gonna come here, load the tools. We have one tool, create the agent. Should be successful now to create the agent. Okay, it created the agent. Answer the question. And could you please provide the details of the employees, such as their name, vacations limit, so and so and so and so. You see, this is the answer. I'm going to just do some in my chat application here. Let us do some formatting. So the reply here is going to be like so, formatted. We're gonna call it AI, and then it's gonna take the reply, and then after the reply, let us do one new line so it will be clear. Okay, let us run the application again. Okay, now the application ran. I'm gonna tell him Dave Simon is a new staff with 23 days vacation limit. Add him to the HR, and it's gonna run here. Let us run it. It's gonna come to the clients, I guess. So when it comes to the clients, I want to show you exactly what are the responses that are coming back from the agent before giving it back. So when we come here, you will see in the response we have messages, and then inside these messages there are several messages. The first one is actually the message that I had just given. Dave Simon is a new staff. So it came here to the HR before the response. You see, it came with name. If we stop on, it's Dave Simon. What is the vacation limit? 23. Vacation used 3 by default because we didn't give it. Vacation limit remaining, it's gonna be 3. So it's obvious that actually LLM could not handle that. When we give the vacations limit, it should, and when it is a new employee, it should actually put zeros here. So let us actually try to fix this. First of all, let us run it, and I'm going to show you what is the response that is coming back. This is the response. If you go to the response, if you go stop in the response, it has messages. Inside the messages, this is the first one, human message, and then AI message, and then tool message. But we should really care about is the last one, which is AI message. That's why I'm taking here the last one. So the AI message, if you go to the messages, if you go to the last one, and you will see that David Simon has been successfully added to the HR system. And if we go here, you will see that inside data we have a new file called employees.json, and there is Dave Simon, but with wrong numbers. So let us try to fix this. I'm going to run this, and I'm going to type here exit. I'm going to go to the server. So in the server, I'm going to say if the user, if the staff, or if the employee is a new employee with only the name and vacation limit, then the used value 0 and remaining is equal to the limit. You see, we have just added some prompting. So actually what you do in the tools of MCP server, you do a proper prompting. That's all we have to do. So now let us go to the application and run it again. And in the meantime, while it is running, let us also try to fix this. Dave Simon, he used 0 and the remaining is 23. Okay, the application is running. We're going to tell him that Jessica John is a new staff with 33 days limit. Add her. So it's going to come here. We're going to run it. We'll see the employees now. We will also take this out, and we'll take this out. We just want to see what is the result. Perfect. You see, it added Jessica John. Vacations limit is 33. She used 0 and the remaining is 33. And now I'm going to ask him here, add 3 more employees with realistic human names to the HR system. Let us see what it will do. It should go and call this tool 3 times to add 3 employees. You see, that's exactly what it did. And this is the answer. I have successfully added the following employees to the HR system: Christopher Brown and Elena Knight, Sufia Patel, and this is exactly what happened. So you can see that it's limitless what you can do with MCP or Model Context Protocol. If you go here, you can imagine that actually this is now we are accessing a database. So this JSON file, it's just like a database, because once you come here in the server and you run code, you could run code, and this code is actually dependent on this prompt and the LLM. That means you can do anything with the MCP server, from file system to storage systems to calendars, emails, sending emails, accessing database and infrastructure, and whatever. So I hope that actually this technology is be used very well by you. This is only to explain it. Thank you very much, and see you in other videos.